Okay, so we know japa is the repetition of the same thought. And what kind of thought? A divine thought. And that thought is usually in the form of a mantra. And that mantra can be something like Gayatri mantra, a Vedic mantra, or it can be a Pauranic mantra, it can be of your Ishta Devata. Those of you who have Bija mantras, it can be a Bija mantra. So it's that repetition of that thought. And what that's doing is it's helping me to develop focus, and as well as I assume or I inherit that divinity or that power in that mantra. So the way I tell the children is that when you chant the mantra, you get that superpower, right? So every mantra has a superpower. Now, what happens is sometimes we just stop at japa and that's it. Huh? So we finish our 108 japa practice and then let's go, let's get ready and let's get started with the day. So let me just put into perspective where japa is, then you'll understand how we or what we should do after. You see, all of us have taken a flight somewhere, maybe not recently, but we have all taken a flight. And taking a flight is very similar to meditation process. How so? So when we take a flight, there's a scheduled departure time, isn't it? You cannot fly whenever you want, whenever you feel comfortable, whenever you feel like you fly. There's a departure time. In the same way, for our practice, there has to be a scheduled time. So it cannot be Gayatri mantra today is going to be, 12 o'clock at noon or 9 o'clock in the morning. Same time every day, because that builds the samskara. And your mind is already calm because it knows that's the time I'm going to do my japa. And there's also a scheduled airport. So either you're flying out of LaGuardia or JFK, it says where you're flying off. You cannot choose any other airport. So there has to be a special place in your house where you are going to take flight. It cannot be that in my house, one day I'm sitting in that room, another day I'm sitting in this room, because that builds the ambiance, that builds the area. And when you go now to the airport, what happens is everybody has an assigned seat. Now, this is economy class. First class, something else might happen. But with this example, you keep in mind economy class. You have your assigned seat, 32B, 32C, whatever it is. When you get your assigned seat, you sit, and that's it. You cannot get up. You sit and you fasten your seat belt. And that means you are taking your sankalpa, that I am going to do japa for these many rounds, whether it's 108, whether it's 2 malas, 3 malas, whatever. You decide and then you sit. It's like a flying time is scheduled. You cannot say, I only want to fly for half the journey. You have to go the whole journey. So like that, when we sit down and we fasten our seat belts, we take that sankalpa. We're going to fly for this long. And before we fly, of course, before you sit down, you have to put all your baggage away, isn't it? All your baggage, all your bags, whatever, your phone, everything has to be switched off. So you cannot sit and fasten the seatbelt until everything is switched off. So there cannot be any ongoing thing that's happening, like something is happening in the stove, or some alarm is going to ring on the phone, or somebody you're waiting for someone's call. It cannot be that way. It doesn't work. Your mind will only go on that person, on that thing, on that coffee you left it to brew. Now it will get cold, so I better get up from my japa. It cannot be like that at all. Then nothing works. So everything around us is switched off completely, switched off. Then you sit down and you take your sankalpa. Now, when you sit down, you take your sankalpa, what happens is that a flight steward or stewardess will come and will bring you, what is this hot towels for your face and everything, right? Usually they'll give you a hot towel and they'll give you some water. So they're trying to make you relaxed because you're going to fly. So in the same way, first we relax our body, we relax our breath, because we're going to go on a long, long journey. Mm? So we relax. And then they will, show some video. Welcome to this American Airlines or Emirates Airlines, whatever. And then they'll show you all the glory of the airlines and where's the fire exit and how many people it can take and how amazing it is. Like that, we do our dhyana shloka. We focus on the glory of Bhagavan, on the glory of that. We think about how amazing it is. So we do our dhyana shloka. Then the plane starts to taxi, isn't it? It's still taxiing because it has to wait for its turn to take off. Either all the bags are not loaded, or it's not its turn yet. There's so many planes, so it has to wait. It's taxiing. This taxiing is japa. The taxiing of the plane is japa. It's just preparation. That's all it is. It's just preparation. So the plane taxis is us repeating our mantra, and not taking off yet. So after japa, if I immediately get up, that means I have just taxied. I have not taken off. And in the beginning of our practice, that's totally okay. Totally okay to just be taxiing. But it has to go a little bit deeper. Japa is the taxiing of the airplane because you're still on the ground. You're still developing the mind. You're still preparing. Then slowly what happens is, once that thought becomes very firm, once that thought becomes very focused, then we're ready to take off. The plane can only take off when it's the right time, when it's the right place, when there's only that one plane. There's only that space for that one plane to take off. So the thought will only take off when there's only that one space and one time for that one thought. Only then it will take off. If there's so many thoughts, it will not take off. Just like so many planes on the field cannot take off at the same time. So that taking off is what we call contemplation. And so right after japa, I say, contemplate on the mantra. And when I say contemplate on the mantra, and this I'll go through a little bit more tomorrow. Today, I'll just give you the overall picture. Contemplate on the mantra means either you want to contemplate on the, as I said, the simple meaning that please brighten my intellect. It's so cloudy. Or I want to contemplate on the symbolic meaning, may I be like you, very energetic. May I be like you, O Surya Devata, full of light, full of warmth. May I be like you, very equanimous. You can contemplate that way, or you can contemplate, that is called upasana, and tomorrow I'll expound on that, or nididhyasana, where that sun is the consciousness in me, and I am that light which illumines this whole world. Whichever one speaks to you, you start that contemplation. That is like taking off. Then what's supposed to happen is, so taking off, you can feel the plane, isn't it? You can feel the plane move because it's going like this, and it's slowly spreading its wings. It's spreading its wings, it's taking off, it's going to a higher altitude, and you can feel all these movements in the plane. You can feel it in your body. But when it reaches the cruising altitude of how many ever feet, the plane is just steady. It's just steady. And at that point, you don't feel the plane. You don't feel the plane. You don't feel the movement of the plane. You can't even really hear so much because it's so silent. And at this point, it's like your fasten seatbelt sign is off, but you're not getting up. Everything is as though just happening naturally, effortlessly, like a cruising altitude. And that is called meditation. That cruising altitude where it's just happening. It's just automatically happening. It's effortless. You don't even feel like you're thinking anything. It's just happening. That is meditation. That is that deep samadhi. That's what's meant to happen. After some time, it doesn't happen in the beginning because we're still in the process of taxiing. Then what happens after being in the cruising altitude for some time? The captain says, prepare for landing. And prepare for landing. Coming out of this sacred practice shouldn't be an alarm clock. It shouldn't be someone tapping us and say, hey, come out now. It should be something internal, which is our prarabdha karma. It will naturally bring you out. Don't worry that you won't come out of meditation. Nobody goes into it so deeply that they won't come out. We are not at that level. So don't worry about it. You will come out. But that coming out should be a natural prompt. It should be a natural prompt. It will be your prarabdha karma will say, now you have to go, and let it come that way. And that is your landing. And just like the landing is so smooth, it doesn't go like this. It goes so smooth. It decreases the altitude. It decreases the speed, and then it touches down. So too, when we come out of this sacred practice, we cannot just rush into the world outside and say, okay. It's slowly you get into it. And then what happens is you slowly land and you take your baggage. You take whatever baggage you have. And now, after this practice, when you take your baggage, it will feel much lighter. Not because it became light, but it's because you became more aware.